Hey guys, welcome back. Now, with the news that Ethereum will also be getting its own ETF, the future has suddenly got very bright for Ethereum. And this all came with a bit of a historic week for crypto. We had FIT21, the first major piece of crypto legislation passing the House, SARB 121, which basically blocked the banks from being able to custody crypto, got revoked by the Senate, and hot off the press, the SEC has just been fined $2 million for operating in bad faith against a crypto company. So now that crypto should be seeing tailwinds over the coming months, the big question of this video is how high could Ethereum be going this time around? Now, this video is going to be in two parts. Part one is a little bit about the Ethereum ecosystem, all the good stuff that the institutions will also be learning ready for the big launch. And then part two will try to get a good realistic price prediction in this crazy volatile market of digital assets. Okay, so first up, over the coming weeks, there will be many boardroom meetings going on all across the US, educating people on what exactly Ethereum is and why invest in these ETFs. And it will probably go something like this. And so imagine being in the boardroom as the institutions begin deep diving and learning about Ethereum. And over the coming days, weeks and months, this is exactly what's going to be happening to the build-up of the launch of the ETF. And it'll go something like this. So here is Ethereum's ecosystem at a glance. It launched in 2015, and you can see that it really started to pick up steam about 2018. We're looking at the unique addresses for Ethereum, and then pretty much from there, it's been a great line up to the right. So the ecosystem has over 250 million unique addresses, and it just keeps going up. Next milestone being the 300 million. So clearly a strong network, and it's looking like the future is going to be even stronger. So a green flag there. There'll be a lot of talk about Ethereum's merge, where they went from proof of work to proof of stake, and this is a great comparison chart. So one of the big comparisons will be against Bitcoin, which is proof of work, and this represents the amount of electricity being used by Bitcoin. And over the years, it's got a bad rap, but this is a great chart because, as you can see, against gold mining, it's not that bad. Even something like YouTube, it's still not that bad. However, this will also reflect that this is Ethereum's proof of stake energy usage down here. So clearly it's incredibly energy efficient. So another green flag. Moving on to the supply, another important factor. We have Ethereum here, we have Bitcoin here, and it'd be great to also add the US dollar. So the US dollar is inflating officially around 3% per year, though as we know, it's likely much higher. Bitcoin is inflating 0.8% until it gets hard capped, and Ethereum is inflating at only 0.5%. And many times this actually goes negative. So from a supply point of view, because obviously we don't like things that just can be printed into oblivion, also a major green flag. However, also as Ethereum gets compared against Bitcoin, why should we buy the Ethereum ETF over the Bitcoin ETF? Well, you also get a yield. And for institutions, probably the most simple comparison is like where stocks pay a dividend. By holding this asset, you also get a very strong dividend. Now, for retail investors, similar with the electricity, this doesn't really matter. If something's going up 100%, then 3% doesn't make a big difference. However, for institutions who are potentially investing hundreds of millions, this is actually a major deal. So with proof of stake, you also get a yield. Now, the big difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin is that, like silver to Bitcoin's gold, it's programmable money, but it also is actually used in industry. So where silver is being used in electric cars and solar panels, here we have DAP radar, which shows all the applications. And this has been sorted by the amount of volume. So you can see Ethereum is the clear winner when it actually comes to use cases, doing over 200 billion each month. The next one dropping all the way down to 40 billion, then 30, 20, 10. But not only that, if we look at the top 10, obviously number one's Ethereum, but Blast also runs on Ethereum, Arbitrum also runs on Ethereum, BNB, we have one competitor here, but then Base runs on Ethereum, Polygon runs on Ethereum, Optimism runs on Ethereum, ZK runs on Ethereum, a second competitor here, and then Linear runs on Ethereum. So where are all the ETH killers? Clearly, when it comes to use cases and applications, Ethereum is dominant. And then finally, one of the biggest selling points going for Ethereum in all of these conversations with institutions is the fact that BlackRock loves Ethereum. Only the world's largest money manager. They've already launched their fund, Build, which is a tokenized version of a money market fund. That is already live, and obviously they've got their up-and-coming Ethereum ETF. So this gives huge credibility to Ethereum, which is still king of the altcoins. As of right now, today, there is no other altcoin that BlackRock is working with. So this is huge. So as you can see, wrapping up this part one, Ethereum's ecosystem is looking really, really strong. So now let's move on to part two. So the first thing to put in place here is the time frame, as it's kind of pointless just saying that Ethereum can get to 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 if we don't add a time frame. So a very key part of this whole piece. So how do we put a time frame in place? Well, for this video, we're going to take a look at the 3 previous cycles, and this was the halving that goes through the middle. And it says this: after the halving in cycle number 1, it peaked out pretty much exactly 12 months after the halving, so 1 year. In the second cycle, it peaked out close to 18 months, so a year and a half after the halving. And then the third one was very interesting. It had a peak at 12 months and also 18 months. So the time frame based on actual data is going to be 12 to 18 months, a year to a year and a half. So this is actually quite a short period of time. So we must keep our price predictions in check and think what is really realistic in just 1 year. Now, a good comparison is, where would you put your money if you weren't investing in crypto? Well, you have things like stocks, bonds, gold, property. So let's take the very common S&P 500 and the index fund. So just bear in mind that if you were to just invest in the S&P 500, based on the last 100 years, it goes up about 10% per year. So let's be very generous and say in 12 to 18 months, you're not really going to see much more than 20%. So that is a fair comparison. Can we beat 20%? So let's jump on over to the price chart. So this is Ethereum in all of its glory, the entire picture of Ethereum in just one chart on the weekly. So what do we see? Well, launching in 2015, I've marked in the Bitcoin halving events as they are pretty significant to the entire crypto market. So this was the first cycle, the first blow off top, crypto winter. This was the next halving, 2020. And the first thing you'll notice is there's less data than Bitcoin. Where Bitcoin has 3 cycles, we only have 2 cycles for Ethereum, which does make trying to get a price prediction very challenging. So let's take a look at the different ways in which we could do this. Well, first of all, let's just zoom in and we'll see the gain between the halving and the peak, the halving and the peak, and see if that gives us any insights. So here's the Bitcoin halving from 2016, and what did it do to Ethereum? Well, the price around this time was about $11. Crazy to think. And how high did it eventually go? Let's just take a look. So we go from 11 approximately, and this gives us a nice run of 3,700%. And then let's just take a look at the second. Ethereum's first massive crypto winter there, coming on to the next halving. So around this time, Ethereum was about 100 and let's say 200. And in this cycle, we had the big double top. So taking it from about 200, going to 2,400. So for me, when you're working with percentages like 3,000 and 2,000, it's really, really hard to make a price prediction. And I don't think this is the most realistic way to get a good price target. So what other options do we have? So zooming back out to the big picture of Ethereum, another way we can do it is we can look at peak to peak. So if we take a look at this peak, and this was about $1,400, and then next time it went to just under 5,000. So that is a 250% gain. Now, it's very likely that we're going to get diminishing returns. So looking at peak to peak, we saw that it topped out at $1,400. Next one was $5,000, which gave us 250%. So this we can now work with, and we can say if we discount some because of diminishing returns, we can say it's realistic that Ethereum could go up 100% to 200% from its previous all-time high. And this would give us a range of $10,000 to $15,000. So a nice balance between ambitious but still realistic. And I'm not in the camp because of the ETFs and everything else. I just don't see it doing the same percentage gain. When something is $100, it only needs $100 to get a doubling. However, if something is $1 trillion, then you need $1 trillion to get the same doubling. So as the asset gets bigger, it takes a vastly larger amount of money, which is why we get diminishing returns. Now, and the third and final way to give us a price prediction is that we can base it off Bitcoin. So here we have a nice chart of Bitcoin, and this also tells us what the multiplier Bitcoin had done in its own cycles. So in cycle 1, it did a 300x from its bottom to top. Then second cycle, just over 100x, then 20x. So you can clearly see diminishing returns. So a fair assumption is that Bitcoin could probably do 10 times its price from the bottom. So let's say Bitcoin bottomed, it was around 15,000. So 10 times its bottom gives us a Bitcoin price of 150,000. So this is just over double its previous all-time high. So now we can base Ethereum off this. So if Bitcoin can double its previous all-time high, I'd say Ethereum has a good chance to at least double, if not triple, its previous all-time high. And if it were to double or triple its previous all-time high, then what do we get? Well, funnily enough, we get the exact same one from the previous measurement, 10,000 to 15,000. Now, we can speculate and say, well, because of TradFi and that Bitcoin and Ethereum are now plugged into the traditional financial system, we could get more money going in this cycle. And could Bitcoin 20x again, which would be a 300,000 price, which means everything would double? It is possible. However, is it probable? And in this video, I'd rather give a target which I think is probable rather than possible. Is it possible that Ethereum could get to 20,000, 30,000 in the next year to a year and a half? It's possible, but I'd say it's unlikely. So for me, based on previous data, based on what Ethereum has done in the past, just looking at the next year to a year and a half, this is the price target that it all gives me. With the tide now changing in crypto's favor, and with this up-and-coming Ethereum ETF, we now get to speculate on price. As you saw, the Ethereum ecosystem looks very, very strong. Excellent network growth, incredibly energy efficient, a flat or shrinking supply, gives investors a yield, dominating in use cases and applications, and has BlackRock as its raving fan, so the scene is set. And as far as the price prediction, for me, a good solid base case is 2 times the previous all-time high, being around $10,000. And for a big bullish bet, closer to 15,000, which, if you think about it from today's price, is a 300% gain. And remember, this is just the next 1 to 1.5 years. So there you are, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Now you tell me, is this price prediction fair? Is it a bit too conservative, too bullish? Let me know below. However, just remember to get rid of 100% of the comment spam and trading bots that plague YouTube comments. We are trying out the new SuperThanks Commenting system. So to get your question or comment read and replied to, or just to say thanks, then use SuperThanks below. And for now, just to say, if you did enjoy anything in the video, then drop a like, and a big thank you to everyone who does, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.